Let's talk about Halo the Master Chief Collection. Hey everybody, my name is Bear. Thank you very much to those of you who tuned in for the first of these Let's Talk About videos, namely Let's Talk About Assassin's Creed Unity. Got a really awesome response for them. It actually got a lot of positive responses, a lot of feedback, a lot of discussion, and that's what these videos are all about, is generating discussion, trying to create an open forum to talk about these sorts of things. And I hope that you find the time here to outline your thoughts as well. If you listen to what I've got to say here in the video, talking about the game, talking about my thoughts and feelings on things as it results, or as it corresponds to the game, that you can outline your thoughts down in the comment down below, and we will have another discussion similar to the one we had before. And I'm really excited to make this a hopefully continuing part of the channel. But nonetheless, let's get into it here with a discussion on Halo the Master Chief Collection. Game released on November 11th of 2014 this year, and I was incredibly excited for it. I'll be the first to admit that I am a huge Halo fan. I played all the games, almost every single one. Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Halo Reach, Halo Wars even. I found the time to jump into that one and actually managed to enjoy it a little bit too. But Halo the Master Chief Collection sucks balls. It's bad. It's real bad. It's broken. And it's really unfortunate. It came out, and I entirely anticipated playing it for basically the entire night. I'm sure many of you out there who got the game for yourselves were probably planning on taking time off school, off work, whatever you needed to do, to enjoy this, because it was really just supposed to be the best thing for Halo fans everywhere. It was this massive nostalgia bomb. It was every major installment of the series combined into one digestible, delicious, chewy gobstopper of goodness, and it's unfortunately turned into more of a chewy little dog turd of broken hopelessness. And I want to talk about primarily not like what was wrong with Halo the Master Chief Collection, but what it's kind of done to me as a result of that launch, and more of a, I want to put more of a focus on the discussion of what's been going on with AAA releases, AAA developers and publishers lately, that was kind of highlighted by this absolutely, completely broken launch. So to shed some light on the situation, what actually happened with the Halo the Master Chief Collection launch? I'm going to refer to it as MCC from here on out, by the way, just to make things simpler. MCC was completely broken multiplayer-wise at the launch of the game. And when I first booted it up, I was expecting, you know, a little bit of a delay in getting things really cranked along. Of course, it's a huge release. There's going to be a bunch of people trying to play at the same time. There's going to be network issues, right? I totally expected that. What I didn't expect was not to be able to play the game a month later. In fact, I recently refunded my copy of the game via digital download on Xbox One because I couldn't take it anymore. It was not worth this. I paid the full purchase price for it, and it was just not worth it because I couldn't play the game. The multiplayer was completely dysfunctional. You couldn't find a game, and when you did find a game, it was an unbalanced team, it was lag, it was latency, it was any number of problems. People were actually able to boot you out of match-made multiplayer games in the first week or so of launch. Luckily, that was patched pretty quickly. But, well, I say pretty quickly, it was actually like a week or so while that could happen. That was a complete disaster. But it's just the kind of stuff that is mind-boggling that could happen in public release. This isn't a beta, this isn't like early access on Steam, this is the full-fledged game, and it was just ridiculous. I've never seen matchmaking broken that much. It was otherworldly kinds of completely catastrophic. So what do you do when the multiplayer's broken? You play the campaign, right? That should work, and kind of did for the most part. In fact, it was really impressive going back into the old games, switching from the updated rather, to the old graphics on the fly. It was really cool, and I enjoyed playing the campaigns again as little as I could, because they were broken a little bit too. You were getting booted out of campaign games. You would play on Legendary, spend 45 minutes on a single level, and then the game would hard crash, forcing you to reset your console and lose all of your progress. There were just an infinite amount of bugs. Everyone was having problems playing this game. I spoke to so many different people who had purchased it. Of course, I made a lot of Halo friends back in the day, and I had a lot of people on my list that were playing this game. Everyone was having issues. It wasn't just an anomaly. Everyone on Twitter, on Reddit, on Facebook, whatever have you, it was just a complete disaster. But let's not dwell on the broken elements of the Halo the Master Chief Collection release, and instead, I really want to talk about, like I said, kind of how this has affected me as a consumer, as a buyer, a frequent buyer, in fact, of AAA releases. How has this degraded my expectations? And more to the point, how has this made it unlikely for me to really ever buy a AAA release on release day, much less pre-order a game, ever again? Now, I'll admit, I know I'm throwing myself up on the cross here and saying this, but I did pre-order Halo the Master Chief Collection. I digitally downloaded it so I could be ready to play it the minute it was launched. I believed. I had faith. That faith is completely shattered now, of course, but I really wanted it to work just as it had been promised it would. Now, needless to say, I'll never be doing that again, but I don't know if that entire idea has just been completely discredited. Not necessarily just pre-ordering games, but even buying games on launch day, due to the fact that just so many AAA releases lately have been completely botched. To be fair, on the other side of the spectrum, though, there have been quite a few that have worked perfectly upon release. A few that I can think of, for example, Titanfall, I remember, didn't really have that many issues network-wise. Shadow of Mordor was flawless upon release as well. Two very popular, well, Titanfall kind of died off a little bit, but two very popular games in their time, and, you know, sometimes they work out okay. But my purchasing power, I think, has been swayed because I've just completely been thrown off track as far as what I can expect from developers. And I say this because there are two distinct possibilities of what could have happened with the Master Chief Collection launch. The first of those being the developer was unaware of the horrible flaws that would result from the launch of this game and are desperately trying to save face now. Now, this would assume that the developers, of course, well, I mean, all situations assume that the publisher has rushed 343 Industries into getting this game out by that November 11th deadline, because that was a very important day in the history of Halo. It was like the 10-year anniversary of everything. It was really critical that they hit that, not just for that, you know, nostalgia's sake, but it was also, you know, a very good time to release a game. This is Black Friday shopping season. This is the holiday season. They've got to hit this deadline or they're not going to meet their sales expectations. This is completely obvious. And all of that, of course, makes that first possibility pretty unlikely and lends way to the second possibility to be the truth, which is that they knew the MCC was broken at launch and they released it anyway. Now that point right there is really what is driving the nail home for me. The fact that they knew. They must have known. They had to have known. It's impossible that they didn't know. That they didn't know how broken things really were. When you can match 8 people up in what's supposed to be a 4v4 playlist, and it turns it into 8 teams of 1 or a 6v2 match, that comes up. That comes up in playtesting. It has to. There's no way it didn't. They must have known how broken things were before they launched the game. So it makes me think we must exercise discretion, then, to an extreme degree when considering purchasing AAA releases, because they are always trying to hit these windows of launch. They're always trying to hit some kind of launch window that allows them to capitalize on whatever situation is arising, whether it be like an anniversary of a release of a game or the, you know, very lucrative Christmas shopping season. They're just trying to release in a window that gives them the most profitability, and whether or not the game actually works at launch is starting to become less of a priority, which is really weird. It's weird, man. It's like, that seems like it should be pretty high on the list, but it's honestly not anymore. So we have to get to the point where on day one we are deciding for ourselves, I need to wait to make sure this works. I need to wait to see if this game is actually going to function the way it is intended to before I can purchase. And I don't really want this video to get boiled down to a nutshell to say don't pre-order games anymore, because I'm not going to tell you that. You can pre-order games if you want to. If you know you're going to play a game at launch, regardless of whether or not it works as well as you'd like it to, then that's totally fine. That's more power to you. It's your money. You can do what you want with it. I'm not going to try to start an entire movement that says don't pre-order anything anymore. Down with America. Like, that's fine. You can do what you want. The discussion I'm trying to generate and what I'm most curious of is whether or not you guys feel the same way about actually buying games at release, or, you know, pre-ordering games in general. Like, I'd love to hear whether or not you do still plan on pre-ordering stuff and your reasons for it, because I'm very curious. I'm wondering if consumers in general, I assume that by watching a video like this, you probably are, I mean, like, I'm not trying to discredit anybody that games that doesn't watch my content or anything like that. I'm just saying that if you take in content like this, take in discussion content that's saying, like, what is wrong with the industry and that kind of stuff, you are probably a little bit more educated than the average buyer. You're probably looking into things a little bit more than, say, somebody who's just going to Target to see what games are out and see what the new releases are, looking at the back of boxes and thinking, oh, this looks fun, I'll buy this. That's kind of the norm. And I only know that because I worked in retail and I saw that happening in front of my eyes. So it's unfortunate that that keeps happening, because that's kind of what's fueling what seems to be this new agenda that pushes the fixed game criteria down to the bottom of the list. The talking points then would be as follows, I suppose. 1, did you enjoy your time with the Master Chief Collection? Were you able to find games? Were you able to actually play it the way you wanted to? Because I would be very jealous of you if that were the case. 2, how has this potentially affected your buying power as a consumer? Do you plan on still pre-ordering games? Will you still be buying things on release day? Are we still buying into the hype? Is the hype not necessarily a bad thing? Is it still good to get excited about stuff and want to support developers as big as they may be, as they might be multi-million-dollar projects? Do we still want to make them feel like they're valued to us? And again, all the stuff mentioned in this video is just my opinion on things. I don't want to make it sound like it's the you know, end of the line. It's not the definitive answer to all this stuff. It's just how I've been affected based on the release of Halo the Master Chief Collection. Thank you very much for watching. Leave me some thoughts down below. Leave me some discussion. I'd very much like to hear what you guys have to say. I'll try to respond to as many as I can. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.